Okay, magandang araw muli sa inyong lahat. Welcome sa ating channel, Sir Lopez Vlog. Sa araw na ito ay magkakaroon tayo ng self-evaluation dito sa subject na Juvenile Delinquency or Juvenile Justice System under the new curriculum. Alright, so today we are going to have our Mockboard examination number 1. So kung nakahanda tayo, let's start to question number 1. The negligent treatment or maltreatment of a child by a parent or caretaker under circumstances indicating harm or threatened harm to the child's health or welfare is known as letter A, child abuse, letter B, child neglect, letter C, child dilemma, or letter D, child in conflict with the law. Number 2, these shall not be considered as offenses and shall not be punished if committed by a child. Examples are curfew violations, truancy, parental disobedience, and the like. Letter A, adult offense. Letter B, status offense. Letter C, delinquency offense. Or letter D, children in conflict with the law. Question number 3. Which of the following form of abuse that involves the use of the victim for selfish purposes and or financial gain? Letter A, verbal abuse. Letter B, exploitation. Letter C, racketeering. Or letter D, cotonism. Question number 4. The most common legal grounds for termination of parental rights, also a form of child abuse in most states. Sporadic visits, a few phone calls, or birthday cards are not sufficient to maintain parental rights. A, exploitation. B, abuse. C, neglect. Or letter D, abandonment. Number 5. What is the legal doctrine establishing court as determiner of best environment for raising child, which is an alternative to the parents patri doctrine? A, rights of society. Letter B, Miranda right or Miranda doctrine. Letter C, best interest of the child rule. Or letter D, parental obligation. Next is number 6. Refers to a child who is alleged as accused of or adjudged as having committed an offense under Philippine laws. A, juvenile offender. Letter B, child offender. Letter C, child at risk. Or letter D, child in conflict with the law. Number 7. Under the law, a person under the age of 18 is called blank. A, juvenile. B, young. C, child. Or letter D, all of them. Number 8. A system dealing with children at risk and children in conflict with the law, which provides child-appropriate proceedings, including programs and services for prevention, diversion, rehabilitation, reintegration, and aftercare to ensure their normal growth and development. Letter A, a Child and Youth Welfare Code. Letter B, Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act. Letter C, Child Provision System. Or letter D, none of them. Number 9. A child who is vulnerable to and at the risk of committing criminal offenses. A. Juvenile at risk. B. Child offender. Letter C. Child at risk. Or letter D. Children in conflict with the law. Number 10. In RA 9344, during the diversion process, the responsibility and treatment of CICL will be determined on the basis of his or her blank. When we say CICL, we are referring to the child in conflict with the law. Is it letter A, social and cultural? Letter B, economic and psychological. Letter C, educational background. Or letter D, all of them. Number 11. What concept of justice is also introduced by Republic Act 9344? A. Retributive justice. B. Restorative justice. Letter C. Criminal justice. Or letter D. Punitive justice. Number 12. Primarily aims to achieve reparation for the victim, reconciliation of the offender, the offended, and the community, and enhance of public safety. A. Retributive justice. B. Restorative justice. Letter C. Criminal justice. Or letter D. Punitive justice. Next, number 13. If it has been determined that the child taken into custody is 15 years old or below, the authority which will have an initial contact with the child in coordination with the local social welfare development office has the duty to blank. Okay, what is the missing word? Or what are the missing words? Letter A, immediately turn over to the barangay captain. Letter B, allow to post bail for temporary liberty. Letter C, immediately release to the custody of the court. Or letter D, immediately release to the custody of the parent. Next, number 14. If the LSWD, okay, ang ibig sabihin ng LSWDO ay Local Social Welfare Development Officer. Okay? If the LSWD determines that the child is abandoned, neglected, or abused by his parents, and the best interest of the child requires that she or he be placed in a youth care facility or bahay pag-asa, the child's parents or guardian shall execute a written authorization for the commitment of the child. What written authority is referring in the statement? A. Involuntary commitment. Letter B. Voluntary commitment. Letter C. Discretionary commitment. Or letter D. None of them. Next, number 15. This law defines the juvenile justice and welfare system as a system dealing with children at risk and children in conflict with the law. Letter A, RA 9364. Letter B, RA 9344. Letter C, PD 603. Or letter D, PD 968. Number 16. This law further emphasizes child-sensitive justice policies focus on the best interests of the child. This principle has been first laid down in the Doha Declaration. Letter A, RA 10630. Letter B, RA 9364. Letter C, RA 9344. Or letter D, PD 603. Number 17. What is the rule under the law if the child who committed the crime is above 15 years old but below 18 and who acted with discernment? A. Probation system is given automatically. Letter B. Provide intervention program for his rehabilitation. Letter C. Diversion system should be implemented. Or letter D, all of them. Okay? All of them yung letter D. Kulang lang ng letter M. Number 18. When diversion measures will be decided by the courts. A. If the imposable penalty is more than 6 years. Letter B. If the imposable penalty is not more than 6 years. Letter C, if the penalty is imprisonment. Or letter D, if the penalty is only distero. Next, number 19. After care support services to CICL shall be made to prevent reoffending. This will be given for a period of at least blank. A. 1 year. B. 8 months. C. 6 months. Or letter D. 3 months. Next, number 20. A 24-hour child care institution funded and managed by the local government units or LGU and licensed and or accredited non-government organizations. A. Boys Town. B. Bahay Pag-asa. C. Juvenile Reformatory. Or letter D, all of them. Next, number 21. What court have exclusive jurisdiction over cases involving children in conflict with the law? A. Supreme Court. B. Regional Trial Court. Letter C. Municipal Trial Court. Or letter D. Family Courts. 22. Refers to the totality of the circumstances and conditions which are most congenial to the survival, protection, and feelings of security of the child. A. Rights of society. Letter B. Miranda Doctrine. Letter C. Best interest of the child. Or letter D. Parental obligation. Next is 23. Refers to a child who is vulnerable to and at the risk of committing criminal offenses. A. Child in conflict with the law. Letter B. Child at risk. Letter C. Juvenile delinquent. Or letter D. Youthful criminal. Next, number 24. The program that the child in conflict with the law is required to undergo after he or she is found responsible for an offense without resorting to formal court proceedings. A. Intervention program. B. Diversion program. C. Probation program. Or letter D. Therapeutic program. Next, number 25. series of activities which are designed to address issues that cause the child to commit an offense. A. Intervention. B. Diversion. C. Cooperation. Or letter D. Therapeutic. Okay, so hanggang dito na lamang ang ating self-evaluation sa araw na ito. Mangyari lamang na i-submit ninyo ang inyong makasagutan gamit ang link na makikita dito sa ating description box. Okay, so later on i-upload din natin yung kanyang mga kasagutan at makikita nyo lamang dito pa rin sa ating description box. Alright, so hanggang sa muli, maraming salamat. See you again next meeting.